Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. It is May 7th, 2022. And folks, the title pretty much says it all. Just when you thought it was safe to go outside, wow. Tornadoes just ripping across the Midwest, and we're going to be showing the latest Planet X images that just came in yesterday and today. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to get their notifications, and we're going to go right to it. One of the first things I'm going to be showing, we're going to jump over here to Twitter. And Twitter's like that's my main source of really good weather information, because you just about have every weather service on the entire planet that has a Twitter account. Just about every weatherman and all of the storm chasers, they're all right here on Twitter. I'm going to make sure that this live stream is going okay on the boob tube, because they changed some of the setup since I've actually used it. Okay, so we are live. All right, live stream is going okay on that's good. The boob tube. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I'm going to jump back over here to Twitter. I've been posting a lot of information in the community section of the Planet X News YouTube channel, and it allows me to get a lot of detailed information out there to you guys, instead of coming on here every 15 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour, making a video just to show a few pictures or a short video clip. But as I've mentioned many times before, so far this year, is that we are going to be going through some very, very extreme weather changes. Things are escalating pretty quick. We're only in the month of May, and already the Midwest, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, they've been just savagely ripped apart by these constant tornadoes, and a lot of damage has occurred. And I gotta give it to these storm chasers, man. I really do. These guys are brave. Last week, 3 young storm chasers from the University of Ohio were actually killed in a very terrible accident that occurred. I do believe they were, I think they were on their way back from doing some storm chasing, and these 3 young men lost their lives. So these people, they go out there to record these outrageous tornadoes. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a lot of this very good high definition footage. What you're looking at on your screen here, this was from May 4th. This was from Truscott, Texas. You could see it's just amazing. We're going to go ahead and just thumb through here. I just put the hashtag in the search engine up here, hashtag tornadoes, and it's going to give us a lot of the information from this past week. And I think this is from Paducah, Texas, right in the middle of the day. You could probably consider that maybe a dust devil. No, I don't think so. Here is Andover, Kansas, and that was last week. And Andover suffered very, very severe damage. Last report I saw stated that over 1,000 buildings and houses were completely destroyed, just pretty much leveled straight to the ground. And again, these tornadoes are happening right in the middle of the day. This footage here, I've seen several times, and each time I see it, I just think to myself, wow, could you imagine looking out your back door and all of a sudden, everything just is disappearing? It's absolutely incredible. I'm going to go ahead and move down here. There's some photographs here. Some pretty wild looking pink skies, lightning bolt. This is in Oklahoma. Very, very weird skies. I've been getting a lot of people sending me photographs in of these very, very strange skies. Just last week, I believe it was Monday, in the middle of the afternoon, my sky was very, very heavily cloud covered. I don't know what happened. I don't know what caused it, but my whole entire sky, like, it turned green, turned a soft color green. And I got a photograph. I'll show it to you guys later on. But I've been watching the weather. I got some new weather radar software myself that actually shows flooding, tornadoes, very severe weather, things of that nature. I'm going to be using it a lot in the upcoming months. This is from I'm trying to see, that might be Andover. I think this is Andover, Kansas. This was pretty bad, folks. Andover got jacked up really bad. These are very, very scary situations. This was from one of the news stations, but one of the storm chasers actually caught this in high definition using a very expensive drone that he uses. He's a storm chaser, one of the best. Absolutely annihilated. Shopping centers, homes, buildings. Now, there were a few injuries, but luckily nobody was killed. And it's very hard to believe that actually happened, that nobody was actually killed, with 1,000 buildings and homes being completely flattened and destroyed. I mean, that is intense. Absolutely intense. And I've been keeping track of these. This is going on 2 weeks now, but it's been this past week that things have really ramped up in the Midwest. One of the best guys that I always go to, this guy, Reed Timmer. I'm going to go ahead and go directly over to his Twitter page. If any of you are on Twitter, you can look this guy up. If you want to keep track of the tornadoes they're going to be wreaking havoc throughout the United States this year. There's just no doubt about it. This hurricane season's actually started kind of early, and it's gotten very vicious, is the word that I can use. Let me see, where is this from? I'm looking and reading this. Yeah, this also came from Reed Timmer. My God. Like I said, these guys are very brave. They drive towards these tornadoes. If I would see something like that in the middle of the road as I was driving, naturally I'd be doing a jackknife U-turn and heading in the opposite direction. But I'm going to go ahead and get to more of these actual videos that they've posted on Twitter. This here, very, very weird cloud formation. This was in Reedville, North Carolina. I've seen several of these types of cloud formations in and around that area over the last 48 hours. It says, my brother-in-law just sent me this awesome photo he took with his drone of the tornado-warned supercell in Reidsville, North Carolina. That was May 6th. That was just yesterday. Extremely dangerous supercell and tornado. And this was near Wentworth, North Carolina. Also, take a look at these photographs. Absolutely insane looking supercell storm structure. I mean, the weather has just all of a sudden ramped up and has just become so destructive. And I don't think that we're going to see any end in sight for this. I'm just, panning down here. This was, I think, one of their cars, the storm chasers. Something went right through their windshield as they were moving through. And these guys, I'll tell you what, they have a lot of dedication. They are out there damn near 24/7. It says this tornado was, they're just launching their drone up there. Southwest of Crowell, Texas. Just absolutely incredible. This was interesting video here. These folks are down in the basement. The basement door is open. And the tornado's passing by. And they're just waiting it out. Incredible. Very scary situation. Look at this tornado. This is coming right across the road. Right at you. Now you see this video here, how the sky was kind of green in this video. That's how my sky looked the other day. Just out of nowhere, I noticed this green cast that just filled my entire office right through the window. Thought it was kind of weird, so I looked outside, and sure enough, the whole entire sky was just, it had this weird green color to it. It lasted for about 10 minutes, and then we had a pretty bad storm. The green color didn't last. It just went back to the real dark gray color, but it was very unusual. I've never seen that before. Yeah, where was this? Go ahead and pan down and check out a few more of these. This was a very interesting video that was posted on YouTube, I believe. And this was during a news broadcast. I believe this happened in Oklahoma, yeah. This was a complete marijuana growing operation, a legal one. And they had huge... those huge growing, I don't even know what to call them, hot houses. And the meteorologist was in the weather helicopter, and they were recording a tornado that was coming. And then all of a sudden, it went directly through this marijuana growing operation company and flattened it. Flattened everything. So, I don't know, if you were lucky and you were kind of maybe downwind, all those good buds would have been raining down on you. But yeah, that video is right there. I don't want to go ahead and play it. I don't need any copyright crap from YouTube on that, but I'm sure if you Google that or look it up on YouTube, you could find the video. I watched it. It was pretty intense. And it went right down the middle of all of those grow houses. And, those are no structures that are meant to withstand real high winds. It destroyed every single one of them. And I think also their processing building, which happened to be one of those steel buildings, and it flattened it. So, this is what we're looking at, I don't know what more to say, folks, other than, we've talked about this for a long, long time. I think it is time for people to really start opening up their eyes. If you're new to this channel, you're new to weather, you better start paying attention to where you live, paying attention to your weather. There's, people ask me about safe zones all the time. I really don't think that there are any more safe zones. You just have to be able to adapt, pay very close attention to your weather, download a very good weather app that has a warning system on it to alert you. And there's ones that even go by your actual GPS location. This is another tornado that was in Crowell, Texas. I mean, this is just each day for the past week. I've been on here, and the tornadoes have just been non-stop. Very intense situations, very dangerous situations. This weatherman was this was a vortex. This was the scene in Oklahoma just before the tornado destroyed the marijuana growing operation company. And he was talking to the other meteorologist that was in the helicopter, and then it just ripped right through there and just destroyed the entire grow operation. I don't know how many grow houses. I think there were maybe about a dozen in the building, and it did all the damage, I would say, probably in a matter of 20 seconds. Less than 30 seconds, it was gone. Everything was gone. Very, very intense. So, if you guys want to follow a lot of the weather situations that are going to be pretty damn interesting, look at the size of this tornado. I mean, that's just, I don't even know what to say. Just absolutely intense. And so far there hasn't been any loss of life during any of these tornadoes over the course of the last week. But folks, I mean, that's not going to last, especially when these tornadoes start to occur at night, in the middle of the night, when people are not prepared. They're sleeping, and yeah. This tornado situation that occurred in Andover, Kansas, this was wild. I mean, this was some of the best tornado footage in high definition that I've ever seen. And if any of you guys want to check it out further, there's a lot of video on it that was posted. Just Google Andover, Kansas tornado 2022, either in YouTube, Facebook, Google, Twitter, wherever, and all of the videos are there. You guys can watch them. But it's just been, these tornadoes have just been scattered constantly all over that region, stretching up from Texas. I mean, we had a storm system the other day. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this new website and their software. It's pretty good. Uh-oh. Their radar, it might be down. Usually came up pretty quick. Well, for some reason, it does not want to come up. Ain't that something? But anyways, folks, we're going to go ahead and move from this general weather, and we're going to move over to some space weather, because things have been pretty crazy. Oh, I see somebody threw me a $20 super chat. Hey, man, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We'll definitely put that towards Dr. Elber's medical fund. She's going to be going in for this this stem cell work injection on actually in July, and hoping very, very much that helps her with a better quality of life. I really don't want to get into it right now, folks, because it as of lately, it's been making me pretty emotional because, anyways, don't really want to talk about it. But if anybody does want to contribute to Dr. Elber's medical fund, there is a link right there in the description box, and you could just simply click on the link and do whatever you can. And if you cannot, simply say a prayer for her, or keep her in your prayers. That would be greatly appreciated, because sooner than you think, July is going to be right upon us, and the whole entire procedure is like $15,000, and I'm about halfway there. So plus we're going to have to travel to South Florida and possibly be there for a couple of days. One of the other things is she doesn't want to fly, I don't want to fly, so we're going to have to drive, and that's going to be a 1,000-mile drive one way. So I'm just hoping and praying for the best myself. So the Texas weather radar that I've been using seems to be their website is down. But I'm going to move over to some space weather, because we've been getting blasted with space weather for the last 2 weeks. A lot of sunspots, a lot of coronal mass ejections, a lot of solar flares, a lot of X flares. It has just ramped up like crazy. And I've warned everybody, this is what we're going to be going through. The space weather, a lot of people may find it boring, but believe me, folks, it is affecting the Earth, and it's going to continue to affect the Earth. I've been on a couple of live streams with some folks. You may see Mystic in the live chat there. And I've been showing them a lot of the data, and the weather data, and the space weather data, and trying to bring a lot of people on board to understand space weather. Space weather is something that, during a solar maximum that we are in right now, we should pay attention to. Knowing that we also have another object out there that's interacting with the sun, which is actually increasing the magnitude of our space weather, is something that we need to pay very close attention to. The amounts of radiation coming into the Earth, nobody wants to talk about that. Why? Because it's scary. Secondly, they're going to have to explain why. And they're just not going to do it. I will do it. I don't have a problem doing it. And that's something that we should pay very, very close attention to with our outside activities. Again, I warned everybody about it last year. I warned everybody about it the year before. Skin cancer rates are going sky high. Last year, a very good friend of mine went down to, Ocean City, Maryland. Took his family down there for vacation. Him and his wife are fair-skinned. His kids are fair-skinned. I warned them, limit your time in the sun. You better get some very serious, heavy sunscreen. They didn't heed my warning, and him and his wife both had blisters all across their back that were they were disgusting. They were horrible. The kids, I think the older one was 15. He got some pretty bad sunburn on his back and face. The younger ones, they had like t-shirts on, so they kind of heeded my warning on that. But they both suffered like dogs for weeks after they came back home. And they drove from the Pittsburgh area to Ocean City, and they had to drive back with all of that blistering sunburn on their backs. So my friend said, man, it was the worst drive of my life driving back. I couldn't even lean against the damn seat in the car. I had to keep myself propped up forward and driving the whole distance. So, again, just when you think it's safe to go outside, think again. And we're only in May. But there's also a lot of weird things that are happening. All of the trees, at least in my neck of the woods, it's the middle of May, and the majority of all the trees around me in my area are not even in full bloom. I have a very large tree in my backyard that by usually the beginning of April, it's budding and it's in full bloom. It's still denuded, meaning it's all branches, and it's like a 60-foot tall tree. It seems the only thing that's growing around here is the grass. I've also noticed way out in the countrysides, a lot of the farmers have not planted their crops yet. There's a few farms that I go out to during the summer because they're massive farms and they sell their produce, and they have a big store on the property, and they literally sell all of their produce, fresh eggs, milk. They have dairy farms, things of that nature. Kind of take advantage of it, to get some nice fresh vegetables. And took a drive out there last Sunday, and looks like the only thing that's been done is all of the ground's been tilled, but it doesn't look like anything's been planted at all. So that's a little weird. The trees aren't budding yet. The flowers, there's no flowers around anywhere. The trees, the majority of them are still, denuded from their leaves from last year. They're just bare. And it kind of looks like when you go outside, it's like, oh, wow, you're in the middle of fall. It seems that we only have 3 seasons now, at least, here where I live. But getting back to the space weather, so over the course of the last week, we've had a tremendous amount of X-flares. Some of them directed straight towards the Earth. There was a small one right there. So as we're moving further and further into this solar maximum, we've already seen a very, very heavy uptick in solar weather, space weather. The sun is just like literally going crazy with coronal mass ejections. I've been waiting over the course of the last couple of days, because during one of these large X-flares that came from that region right there a few days before, it was pretty much directed straight at Earth. Now, it wasn't anything to write home about. I always document the information, if I see these X-flares. But the satellites that I use, the coronagraphs that are out there in space, normally if they're under intense space weather, they will shut them down in order to protect their electronics. So for the last 4 days, one of the main space probe satellites that I use that monitors the sun, well, it was under intense pressure from the X-flare and other solar weather, and they shut it down. So that kind of limits me on what I can see, because you can't see anything because there's no data. But it's getting to the point now, folks, where I will be watching space weather every single day, and we're only in the beginning of this solar maximum. Now, I've been reading reports on this solar maximum, and it's starting to confuse these scientists. And they estimated that by July of 2025, we will be close to the peak of this solar maximum. And there's some other scientists that are disagreeing. They're thinking that it may peak several months later, if not 6 months later. On top of that, something that was very critical is that they said that the solar maximum may be extended past its 11-year cycle. I've never heard of anything like that before. That's bad. I mean, that's about as bad as you can get. Because all of these things that are occurring on our star, every bit of it affects this planet in one way or another, whether you want to believe it or not. And now that we have this other interaction with this stellar core and the sun, and it's literally provoking these large coronal mass ejections. The whole way through this last solar minimum, when the sun should be going to sleep, when the sun should be docile, it wasn't. The sun produced daily coronal mass ejections almost every day. The only thing that it did not produce were sunspots. Now, during a solar maximum, sunspots are more prevalent, larger. And they count these sunspots, these scientists. And already we've had some interesting situations arise over the past few months with sunspots. Very large ones. And very active. Popping off, exploding. And it's been almost a daily occurrence. So all of those heavily charged particles, if these explosions are Earth facing, or even partially Earth facing, they're going to impact the Earth. And we're going to have cellular blackouts, power, energy blackouts, GPS situations, radio blackouts. That is almost happening now on a daily basis. Now, that's one thing that wasn't occurring too much during the transition from solar minimum to solar maximum. But it is occurring now, worldwide. Worldwide. It all depends on the Earth's rotation when that energy hits the Earth. And there's a model that we use that detects it and shows all of it. But it's happening now already on a daily basis, pretty much. So this is what we have to look forward to. And that's why, I really would appreciate all of you, trying to do your own due diligence to learn a little bit more about space weather, maybe keep track of it a little bit more. I'm going to be doing more and more space weather informational videos and live streams, just in hopes of you guys catching on and and learning more about it, and maybe you guys even taking the wheel and doing a little more research on your own when you have some time. and learn about it. You'll learn about the terminology and the lingo and what it means, and what sunspots truly are and what filaments are, and the whole 9 yards. You could probably find a lot of educational space weather videos on the boob tube, YouTube, and also on the internet. But the sun has kind of quieted down just a little bit. Just a little bit. It hasn't been so active over the course of the last, I'd say 48 hours. It's kind of like settling down a little bit. And I'm going to show you folks the reason why. But it's not going to last forever. It's just only going to last for several days. And then we're going to be right back into a lot of solar activity all over again. Let me just check this live chat here. I'm also thinking about doing adding a special call-in feature to my channel when I'm live streaming. I'm still debating it. I have the ability to supply you guys with a phone number, right there in the live chat, and you could actually call in, and if you have some questions, you'd like to, say a few things, talk with me for a few minutes, we can do that. But, there's the other side of me that says, oh, Lord, I don't want to open this thing up and have some, perverted fool jump on here and, say stupid things. As of lately, the Planet X YouTube channel has been pretty clean of the disgusting troll scum that's been out there for a very, very long time. Let's hopefully they just stay the hell away from me, because they tortured me and Dr. Elbers and many others for like 4 or 5 years, and hopefully they just stay under the rock where they live, But I want to show you guys these latest images that were just rendered yesterday and the day before. I was a guest on a couple of other live streams, and I showed these folks firsthand these photographs, and today we're going to go ahead, we're going to check them out. So let me go ahead and pull them up. And we are going to start. Where is it? Right here. So this was, no, that's not it. Let me back the truck up here a little bit. Here we go. This was on the 5th. And this is pretty interesting. This was taken from the LASCO C2. And this is a different direction where the spacecraft is viewing the sun and the coronagraph. The sun is depicted by the white circle right here. And I'm kind of jumping forward a little bit because there are some other photographs we're going to see that are you're going to see the object in a different position, because I wasn't able to gain access to the coronagraphs because they shut them down. But the information finally came through today. So we're actually going to go ahead and look at these a little closer. This was an amazing photograph once again. A little confusing to me because I don't know exactly what the hell is going on. This was a very, very small coronal mass ejection that later on erupted into a huge coronal mass ejection. So during the cycle, this 28-day orbital cycle of this object, it is now on its exodus away from the sun. So it's going to be moving downward like this, and it will go below the ecliptic. And in approximately 10 days, it comes back up. It gets catapulted or slingshot right back up. And then we'll get another glance of it. Oh, probably, it's usually around the 5 o'clock position, then the 3 o'clock position, then the 2 o'clock position. Rarely do we get a shot of it at the 12 o'clock position. Every now and then we will. And then we'll catch it again on the 11 o'clock position, 9 o'clock position, or just between the 9 o'clock and about maybe the 7 o'clock position, as you see right here. And the next photograph, we're going to go ahead and blow it right up, right in your face. So this is what got me confused, is, you know, what exactly are we looking at here? And what I'm referring to is this black stream, this black area right here. You know, you could use your own perception of what you think it is. To me, it looks like almost like a smoky trail. And then again, it could be a direct plasma connection, like we saw back in March, and the photographs that I showed you guys that were just absolutely mind-blowing. And we could go back and take a look at those. But as this object is that close to the sun, is it outgassing? Was it drawing plasma directly from the sun? We don't truly know the composition of the object. I mean, hell, it could have volcanoes on it that are outgassing, because that's what it looks like to me. There looks like a point right there, and I do believe that the next photo is as zoomed in as you could possibly get. But it looks like to me, without being so blurry, it looks like to me that there's a small black hole there, and that looks like it is spewing out of this object as it's passing by. So what exactly happened right there? So no matter how incredible these photographs get each and every time, there's always so many questions that arise that I can't answer. You know, we could only speculate. And again, you know, was it pulling plasma from the sun? Was it outgassing for some reason because of its vicinity near the sun? What the hell's going on? So, I mean, you can clearly see that if I took all of the photographs from the all through April and then leading into May, where we're at, we saw one complete rotation of this object, you would see the big coronal mass ejections at all of those points on the clock that I mentioned. You know, the 5 o'clock, the 3 o'clock, the 1 o'clock, the 10 o'clock position, the 9 o'clock position, and then in between the 9 o'clock and 7 o'clock position as it exits outward. And it's a very long elliptical orbit, and I believe it has variations in speed, because it's almost like a slingshot. You know, it gets very, very close to the sun. As it comes back up, it slows down. Its orbital path slows down as it makes its way up and over the sun. And as it's just about getting ready to leave at that point on your screen right now, I believe that once it gets below the ecliptic is when it speeds up. Because it's only out of our view for approximately 10 days. And then it just slingshots itself right back up. And it comes right back up, breaks through the ecliptic, and when we see it again, it is normally at that 5 o'clock position, and what is there? A very large coronal mass ejection. And early on, you know, folks, like 4 years ago, when I started documenting the coronal mass ejections and how I was capturing the images that I was, that is what led me to believe that this damn thing, it's in a very set orbit. And I worked on it, and I worked on it, and I documented it, and I documented the dates, and then bingo, it just hit me that doing some calculations, that it is on this 28-day orbit orbiting the sun. Is it going to go anywhere? Absolutely not. Once the sun captures something, it does not release it. As long as that object stays in an orbital motion, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, that's the way that all of our planets stay in orbit around the sun. They're in continual motion. They're in an orbit. They're not going to go anywhere. That object is not going to go anywhere. My biggest fear now is that we're never going to get out of a solar maximum. Shit, if that's the case, I don't know what the hell all of us are going to really do. I don't know. I really don't know what the true effects are going to be on this planet, on the Earth. I mean, apparently the governments are ramping up for it. They're preparing for it. They're doing some very evil things already. Here in the United States, if you're an American citizen, then you already know. First, we have a supply chain problem. Then they cut off the supply line of gas and fuel. Now we're having problems with food. I just came from Walmart an hour ago. Went to get some shit paper, some toilet paper. There was none. Zero. And I got a huge super Walmart that I go to near where I live. No toilet paper. None. Zero. Went to grab a 18-pack of large eggs. Went to the cooler where the eggs should be. There were none. There was not an egg in the freaking store. Nothing. I've been noticing the shortages in my local Walmart for some time now. Chicken. I go through, I buy these large bags of frozen chicken breasts and the chicken tenderloins. I get the Great Value brand for, Walmart. My spoiled little dog, he refuses to eat dog food, so, he gets a nice diced up chicken breast dinner twice a day. And then he usually eats dinner with us. But, there'll be 4 or 5 days that will go by. And those coolers where they keep those large 3 and 5 pound bags of the Great Value frozen chicken breast, it's empty. Empty. Nothing. It's so damn empty that they turn the coolers off. Fresh produce. Dr. Albers eats, she's a vegan, so she eats a lot of greens. And it's been hell getting collard greens, mustard greens, things of that nature. One day they'll have it, then for like 3 or 4 days they won't have anything. Nothing. You've all heard about the food processing plants that have been burning down and destroyed. And a Walmart processing center in Indiana, the state of Indiana, burned down to the ground. That's a food distribution center. They have no plans to rebuild it. So I see some kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe I'm just a damn conspiracy theorist, but I see some very nefarious activity going on. Our fuel prices are through the roof when they shouldn't be. What's the government actually doing? What's our government actually doing? There are things happening all around the world. Some things that we don't even know about yet. I believe it's all going to come crashing down this summer in really bad ways. I was listening to an interview with a gentleman who is the head of the World Food Organization. He was on an interview last Sunday on 60 Minutes. You guys can look it up. I can't show the video because of YouTube's copyright rules, but I watched the entire interview. I saw the look on the man's face. I listened to exactly what he said. And it kind of scared me quite a bit, because he said point blank, if we do not do something now with the situation in Ukraine and the Black Sea, if we do not move NATO forces into the Black Sea to protect those ports where all of these grains come from, then within a very, very short amount of time, lightning speed, we are going to end up in a massive world food crisis that's going to affect the entire globe. Why? Because you got to remember something, folks. All of these items that you buy on the grocery store shelves, a lot of them have byproducts in them, whether it be a wheat byproduct or something of that nature. Well, the food manufacturers that manufacture these products, if they don't have that byproduct to make that product to go on the shelf, it's not going to appear on the shelf because they're not going to be able to make it. And now they're talking about these massive fertilizer shortages. Well, if you don't have the proper fertilizers, your crops are doomed. That's what they're saying. I'm not a farmer, so I don't know for a fact. But what I do know is when I'm driving 25 to 30 miles outside of the city into the farming areas, there is nothing growing. It's just dirt. I don't know about you folks and where you live. Maybe all of you can maybe go out there and check that out if you have farmlands in your area, or you can drive to them and check it out. Food prices are already going through the roof. So to me, it seems like we the people are kind of getting set up. Call me a conspiracy theorist, call me whatever you want, but it's kind of written on the chalkboard right in front of us. So whether they know what's happening out there on the sun, of course they do. They've already sent, over the course of the last couple of years, very sophisticated probes to monitor the sun. But we don't get any feedback from that. We do not have any public access to any of the data coming from those probes. Why? Because they would probably have to edit it and censor it, and you would not be seeing anything like I'm showing you on your screen right now. I think they are possibly understanding what's happening, and they don't know what to do about it completely, fully. Just take a look at the past 2 years and everything that's gone on around the world, starting right at the end of 2019. And everything that happened throughout all of 2020. And everything that happened and went down all through 2021. And here we are in 2022, and we are at the borderline of a critical situation, whether you believe it or not. I don't even know where to go from there. You know, I mean, I don't know. But these are some of the recent photographs that have come through. And you can clearly see the creation of the coronal mass ejections. And what you're looking at here, this was on the back side of the sun. None of this was facing the Earth. I checked everything on the coronal mass ejection CME tracker just to make sure, and all of that was directly, kind of behind the sun, away from where we are. And the Cactus program, the coronagraph program, the resolution when we retrieve the data, it's only in, I think, 480p, which is a kind of a low resolution. But when we put that data back together, lo and behold, there she be. This is the same imagery from the 7th. This is just in a negative, and this reveals a little bit more. And you can see the object just kind of looks like a white circle, but it's engulfed. It's completely engulfed in this coronal mass ejection. You can see it right here. And the coronal mass ejections are occurring at the points where this object is closest to the sun. We caught it here, 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 and now we're catching it down here. This is a different rendering. Sometimes this program produces this color. I don't know what this color represents. It's pretty intense, but again, as you zoom in, you can see it doesn't pixelize, but you can see that this object is either burning white, possibly the white represents heat, maybe the black represents plasma. It's hard for me to say. I can't say for sure. But it sure as hell enveloped in that entire coronal mass ejection. This is from the 7th. This is hours before the photograph I just showed you. I'm sorry they're out of sequence. But again, you're looking at some pretty freaky things. I mean, if you're new to this channel and you're new to this subject matter, you're saying to yourself, what in the hell is that? Now on this coronagraph image, it doesn't have the white circle. The black circle is referred to as an occulter. That is actually inside of the telescopic cameras. What it's meant to do is it's meant to block out the extreme rays of the sun so you could analyze coronal mass ejections. And and again, I'm a little maybe a loss for words on what the hell we're actually looking at here. If we go ahead and zoom in a little further, I mean, apparently once again we have, I don't know what type of an attachment you can call that. I don't know if that's some type of outgassing from the object. I don't know if that is plasma being pulled off. I don't know if it's an electrical connection. But it is obviously something of a very huge, high intensity that is disrupting the sun. And maybe, you know, the old word that they use for this object, nemesis, maybe this is the sun's damn nemesis. Maybe that's where they got the damn word from in history. I don't know. But it has become the sun's nemesis. It's become a royal pain in the ass for the sun. Because we're obviously not having a normal beginning of a solar maximum. Everything has been ramped up tenfold. We're getting extreme views of this object that I've never documented before in all of these years. It's a good thing to see it and document it, but everything I'm documenting is a bad thing. I mean, that's the way that I see it. Yeah, it's interesting, and it still piques my curiosity to super high levels. But I know deep down in my heart that none of it is good. None of it. We can get a closer view. The little blue and red plus marks that you see on the screen, those are part of the program that show the direction of the coronal mass ejection. Now, as of lately, there are computer systems, I guess, that detail and isolate the coronal mass ejections. Over the course of March and April, these little blue and red plus signals have been catching that object, that stellar core. We call Planet X, you call it Nibiru, you call it Nemesis, you call it whatever the hell you want to call it. But see, folks, this object doesn't fit the Nibiru narrative, the Nibiru story. And I truly believe that the Nibiru story was made up decades ago, because they didn't know what it was. Zecharia Sitchin produced his theories, and that's all they were. They were just theories. Nobody knew where this object truly was and when it was going to get here. The only person who examined it from far, far, far away to the point where it was just a little red blip in a telescope was Dr. Robert Harrington, when he viewed it from an observatory in New Zealand over a period of time. And as he made that find, he died in New Zealand right after making that observation and reporting it back to the United States government. Nobody actually knows that. He died in New Zealand. He gave his report, And he never made it back to the United States alive. All of his information is still top secret. All of his files, everything. So I guess they really didn't know what the hell they were looking at. However, I think Harrington knew that its trajectory was coming directly for our solar system. And damn was he right. But do we call it Nibiru? Because I don't think that it is. I don't think this thing is what people refer to as Nibiru. As all of my research over 20 years now, investigating the mythology of Nibiru and the story behind it, investigating all of Zachariah Sitchin's work, and investigating all of Dr. Robert Harrington's work as much as I could find, the Nibiru story doesn't fit what this object is. Because Nibiru is supposedly on a 3,600 year orbital path, comes in, wrecks everything, goes out. Well, this object came in roughly around 2007, and its orbit continued to decrease as the sun reeled it in. And I have the documented footage from Stereo B, and a lot of you, most of you have seen it. So the sun reeled it in. The sun locked it in. And over the last 4 years of my research, it's been very consistent on this 28-day orbital path around the sun. That much is a fact. That much is a fact. We could go into the negative here. And again, there's those little plus signs. Again, that is supposed to detail the directional path of the coronal mass ejection. But you see what I mean, how the computer program analyzed that, and those little plus signs, they should have been down around here. They should have been arcing right over here, because that was the direction of the coronal mass ejection. But it didn't pick that up. It picked up that damn object. That's pretty wild. I don't know if you guys really understand that, but this is like the third time this year that I've actually noticed that these little plus signals, again, they are supposed to outline and detail the direction of the coronal mass ejection. Does that look like they're detailing the direction of the coronal mass ejection? Hell no. They're right out in front of that object. So that was detected by that program, not by me, by that program. Yeah. It just gets more and more interesting, like every week. Something that's strange that I've never seen before is I've never seen these plus signals back here. I've never seen them back here. They're always out in front. What the hell does this one mean? This signal, and what does that signal mean? What did this computer program analyzing that coronal mass ejection, what was it looking at? Or this object's confusing the program. And there's something going on right there also. This large black area, again, looks like a, outgassing of some kind. And again, we don't know exactly what this large trail would be. That could be plasma. It could be more outgassing. It could be material that's being pulled off of this object, because it's obviously going to be under some very intense heat as it goes by. I've also been thinking that there's a very high possibility that as each orbit this object goes through, it loses part of its surface, but then as it comes back upward, it maybe possibly even gains that back by pulling plasma from the sun. I don't know. You know, the science on this is pretty strange. You know, I know that the Parker Space Probe and the Solar Orbiter that are out there now, they've been out there for a few years. They're orbiting the sun in different patterns. I know damn well that they've got probably some of the best footage ever seen, you know, in high definition, because all of those new space probes are new. They've got the latest technology on them. This is another photograph from a few years ago. When was that? Let me look down. That was January 30th on my birthday. Woo! 2020. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. A lot of mysterious things going on. I want to show you the one object where it was pulling the plasma, and we're just going back through this. The actual video of the rendering of that that object was pretty freaky. Maybe some of you haven't seen this, but this was just I think 3 weeks ago. And this is a sped up, time lapsed version of what the programs that I have access to now, with the help that I have had over the last 4 years. This is what it looks like when you're taking the actual data that's transmitted back to the Earth from these probes. This is what they get to see, you know, the powers that be down there. And we're able to put it back together before they censor it, before they cut these parts out, and then upload the crap for public viewing. So you're looking at, I believe it was 6 hours. It literally takes a very, very long time for this process to be completed. And in this process and in this photograph, you know, what is going on there? You know, is that a plasma connection? Is that an electrical connection? What the hell is going on? Is it outgassing? This was 1 month ago. The object's in the same position 28 days later. Okay, so this was last month. And for the first time, I decided to show all of you what it looks like as I patiently wait to get this retrieved data back, and we actually peel back the veil and we get to see in somewhat of a higher definition what the hell is actually going on. What this object's doing. But see, folks, it's been consistent. It's been consistent since I discovered, and it finally, you know, the light bulb in my head lit up and said, okay, you know, we're now capturing this object in very specific points during a 30-day period. And then as I broke it all down further, it came out and equaled a 28-day orbit. And this is This is nothing that you're going to see with a ground-based telescope either. The extreme rays of the sun, you're not going to see it. Even if you're using different types of filters, you're just not going to see this object. And so many people ask me that. Now, I think a very highly sophisticated observatory with the proper software and the knowledge would probably be able to see it. Whether the images would be clear because of the atmospheric distortion, I don't know. I don't work in an observatory. But I can guarantee that these new probes that are out there have the best images of this object, and we're never going to see them. This is pretty much the best that we're going to get until they end up taking this away from me. However, they may try, but they don't know exactly how I am doing what my process is. Even though I talk about it a little bit, I try to limit what I say about it to not give it away. They don't know completely how we're able to do what we're doing, to show you folks firsthand. I think it's truly incredible. There's definitely going to be more eye-opening situations to come in the very near future. That much is a fact. What's going to happen in the near future? Well, that's a big question. That's a huge question. I ponder on it every day. Trust me. Yeah. A lot of strange things going on everywhere, all around the world. And the governments, I don't know what the hell they're doing, especially here in this country. And like I said, folks, keep your eyes open this summer. Keep your eyes open for, some probably really, really crazy things that are going to happen. Be safe. Limit your time outside, because I think we're going to be undergoing some very, very intense radiation from the sun as the coronal mass ejections continue, and eventually, they're going to be pointed directly towards the Earth. The power, the intensity of the sun already is extreme. I mean, I'm feeling it. And the weather is just completely weird. We went from a week of temperatures in the high 70s, low 80s here in the Pittsburgh area. And today it was freezing, man. It was cold. I had to wear a sweatshirt when I went outside. It was cold and rainy. I think mid-afternoon I went out and it was 51 degrees. 51 degrees. Yeah. And we're in May, the middle of May, almost. Or no, the beginning of May, sorry. Very strange. And there's some really, really whacked out things happening with our jet stream. And I keep tabs on the jet stream every single day. And I'm going to end with this, and I'm going to show you folks exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead and just stop this, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at some very, very weird things going on with this jet stream. But let's just take a look at it from the top view. Top view, that's the center That is the very, very top of the Arctic right there. You can see the jet stream in the pink, just completely erratic, completely broken up, complete disarray. You want to know why the weather systems are occurring in the Midwest and in this region across Texas and straight up in a diagonal as this last storm system went through over the last couple of days. You see this huge trough right here? Well, that's pulling down. That's pulling down all of that cold air. Now, this is today. This is right now. So this trough was back here. This trough was over Texas, over the complete Midwest. That's all the cold air. As the warmer air collides with it, well, we know what happens. The tornadoes, the downpours of rain, the hailstorms, and it just starts destroying everything. So, this system as we sit right here, right now, if we progress it, and just watch this area. Just watch this area. Because now this is over Florida. And this is about to create a very, very unique situation that I've never seen before. And as far as I've been hearing from the meteorologists, they've never seen anything like it before. And I'm going to show you. So just sit tight. But watch this large trough area as it moves, and I progress a couple of hours. This is on the 8th at 8 a.m. Okay, now that trough has moved off of the coastline. That is part of the jet stream. That should be just moving off, but it didn't. It stayed right here, and the video that I'm going to show you from a weather radar model, I'm going to show you what this dastardly thing is going to be doing in the next couple of days. What's very alarming here right now, and if you know your geography, this is the Gulf of Mexico. Now you're seeing this huge opening in the jet stream. It's broken into two pieces, here and here. Forget about this for now. Now we're going to have cold air rushing through here. We're going to have warm air rushing through here. So this is the 9th of May, 2 days away. So we're going to see what type of disaster that's going to occur in this region here, all through here. Let's move on. Let's click to the 9th, and this is 1600 hours. Now that opening's even larger, and it's moving over top of me now. So everybody that's in here, this green area and this blue area, God only knows what the hell is going to occur. Let's move forward a little bit more. This is May 10th. Now, you see this region right here? That is the trough from days ago, from right now. It's still there. It's now actually formed a very, very dangerous vortex. And I'm going to show you what that's going to do. And then right back here over the Pacific Northwest, I believe all hell is going to break loose. Going through these days of the 9th, the 10th, probably the 11th, 12th, 13th. They're probably going to have some really, really cold weather, possibly some rainy weather, possibly some heavy storms, possibly even flooding. Let's go one more here. Okay, so now we are on the 11th. This area right here, this band right here, again, I think we're going to see some very extreme weather in the whole entire Pacific Northwest, stretching all the way down into Northern California and going up over the mountains. I mean, hell, they could have possibly even snow. All of this is abnormal, folks. This is all abnormal. This is not normal in any way. Okay, so we're done as far as the program will take us into the future. But looking at this area right here, okay. Now, this part of the jet stream, which was a huge trough, remember? Watch it. I'm going to go backwards. Watch where it was. Now it's on shore. Now it is on shore in northern Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. I'm going to go backwards, and I want you guys to watch its movement. Okay, that's completely jet streams don't do this. I've been a weather watcher and loving weather and learning about it for 25 years. I've never seen anything so insane. And already today in Texas, I forget what part it was, hit a record high today of 103. $103. So we could go back to right now. 103 degrees already. And you could see other parts of the world, under extreme situations. I had mentioned several weeks ago that we need to start watching out for these really, really bad floods. Well, no sooner than I say that, about 4 or 5 days later, in Valencia, Spain, was like damn near completely underwater for days. For days. Just literally coming out of nowhere. So that's what I mean when we have to be really, really intense in watching our weather, no matter where you're at. Things may be all nice and, peachy where you're at right now, but in a very short amount of time, it can change in a matter of an hour. This is Antarctica. Take a look at the jet stream down there. If you don't know what a normal jet stream should look like, well, this isn't it. This is not it. It's insane. The poor folks down here in different parts of Australia, I really, really, truly believe that you folks are going to have one hellacious winter time. Because this is their fall and winter that they're going into in the southern hemisphere. Same thing applies for New Zealand. It's not too much, habited area below the equator. The same thing that's going to apply for parts of Africa, South Africa, the continent down in here. Same thing's going to apply for the very regions of southern South America. It's going to be horrendous times for these folks. And then as you move closer to the equator here, things are going to be really, really erratic due to the jet stream patterns in the northern hemisphere. Hurricane season, I don't know, man. I don't know, the last couple of years, a lot of the hurricanes, last 2 years, were forming in the Pacific around this region here and making their way across Mexico into the Gulf of Mexico and wreaking havoc. My biggest fear is, wow, what happens if we get a very large cyclonic formation here in the Pacific that makes its way into the Gulf. At the same time, we have an Atlantic hurricane that makes its way into the Atlantic and close to shore. And at the same time, the two converge. Like that movie, The Perfect Storm. We haven't seen that situation yet, but that situation is very highly possible with the erratic jet stream that you now see. And all of this that you're seeing with the erratic jet stream, we are going to see more and more intensity as far as the warming of our northern polar cap, the North Pole, the Arctic. So I'll be monitoring temperatures there just about every single day. We could actually do that right now. And at the very top of the world, where it should be horribly freaking cold, it is a balmy 18 degrees Fahrenheit at the very top axis of the Earth. The northern parts, high elevations of Greenland, are the coldest, minus 36.2. Look at the temperatures in our little Iceland here. 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. They'll be running around in little bikinis here, sunbathing on the beaches of Iceland. 41.3 degrees at that point right there. 38.5, and it's nighttime. Yeah. All is not well, folks. I mean, you could even see temperatures up here in these green areas. This is 36.2 degrees. I mean, that's not normal. None of this is normal. And by now, a lot of the new ice that forms during the winter time is probably, melting at a very rapid pace, and probably by June, mid-June, it will all be gone. Like it is and has been every year for the last several years, probably the last 5 years. You'll be able to sail a ship right through here, right up through here, and come out right between Russia and Alaska. No problem. You won't need an icebreaker. And I've been showing people how the temperatures in the North Pole, they've been elevating for the last several years. We're just in the beginning, folks. This is only the beginning. And it's sad, Where do we go from here? That's the big question, Where do we go from here? But anyways, folks, I wanted to show all of you, what's been occurring. If any of you are actually, interested in learning more about this, like I said, to catch a lot of this really good weather footage, Twitter is your main place. Constant, non-stop photographs and video feeds coming in from the storm chasers. I guess they all kind of favor using Twitter for some reason or another. And I'm going to be keeping very, very close tabs on the weather the entire summer. That's also going to include space weather, because our space weather is going to be very, very interesting as each day goes by. And I'm going to be out there searching every day for more data, because the knowledge is our power. We must never, ever, ever lose the ability to gain that knowledge. We're going to have to keep very close eyes on everything that's happening around us. You know, just going to the store, you see how prices are out of control. Our growing season, I think, is in massive jeopardy this year. That's very, very scary. Because prices have already they're out of control. Gas, out of control. The government's out of control. I do believe that we are going to see a massive rash of violence in this state coming up. It's knocking on the back door right now as we speak. I do believe these situations are created. Keep your eyes peeled, folks. Everywhere you live, doesn't matter if you live in the United States, doesn't matter if you live, in Europe, wherever. Things are going to get pretty damn interesting, and I think it's also a good idea that, the more people we have out there, all around the world, with their eyes peeled, and you see something happening, and you have the ability now through social media and the internet to put it out there. If you don't want to put it out there, drop me an email. The email address is in the description box under all of my videos. If you've got photographs, if you've got information, if you've got links to articles that you've recently read, inside information, whatever the hell it is, if you think it's important, email it to me, and I will definitely take a look at it. Because, look, we have to have eyes around the entire world now. My biggest fear is that, some of this blasting energy that's coming from the sun, since we are already having big issues with radio blackouts and electrical blackouts. Actually, I didn't want that right there. We lose the internet. So that kind of sucks. This is the CME tracker, the coronal mass ejection tracker. That last explosion that I was showing you, the stellar core images, that came off right back here, and blew off to the back side of the sun. There's a small one that has taken off right here, and that is impacting the Parker Space Probe, which is that little green square right there. And we are right here, the little yellow dot right there. So there's going to be very high possibilities over the course of, the next few years that electrical blackouts may become a common, normal thing. I hope the hell not. I want to jump over here to this one. I haven't checked this for a few hours. We're on here on space weather. And this will show us, wow, see, look at that. Let me go back here and stop that. Okay, there's a pretty intense situation of a blackout. That's the spot where the energy is literally hitting the Earth in that spot right there. And that is over pretty much the entire continent of Africa. It does radiate over to the northeast, but not too much will happen here or over here. But the center part right there, most definitely. We could let this play out, and we could see what else has occurred. This is going back to the 5th. And usually, folks, over the course of the, oh wow, that was a spike right there. Wow, look at that. That was on the 5th. 13:18 UTC time. That was a heavy blast. So, radio frequencies, cellular communication, internet communication, GPS communication, these are situations that will be affected by what you're seeing on your screen right now. Let's let this play out a little bit and see what happened. So this is still on the 5th. There was another blast right there. We're still moving on from the 5th. Looks like they haven't updated this. There's another one there. That one wasn't too bad. Now you see the pulse is directly over the United States, Central and South America. Nothing too intense. Little pulse there. And this is just for the 5th. So there's no new data for the last 2 days for this model. That usually updates constantly. For some reason, it has not. Don't know why. This is also another coronal mass ejection space weather predicting model. And the little green dot right here is the Earth. And you're looking at some solar storm weather approaching the Earth impact right there on the 11th. You'll see the spike right here for the plasma density. And that will actually be peaking right between the 11th and 12th of this month. And the radial velocities are really looking weird. That's the speed. This is the plasma density. And you can see a spike here also. That's strange. That will be hitting Stereo A, which is one of the spacecrafts that we use to monitor the sun. It sits off to the left of the Earth, and as the Earth orbits around the sun, it stays in one spot, and it orbits with the Earth around the sun. So you can see that we're going to have a pretty nice impact. It's going to be a hot one. Here's the Earth right here. So we'll have a geomagnetic storm, which will probably be a decently intense one. We may see some localized blackouts, radio communication, cellular communication, internet, and also GPS. A lot of people don't think that that's very important, but it is. It is very important. And as time goes on, this little situation that you're looking at right there, where we may have some disruptions, well, it's going to be more intense and more widespread. We just have to hope and pray that nothing ever happens to our electrical grid. If that happens and our electrical grid is damaged because of one of these intense solar storms that creates a mess, we're going to be in a very, very serious situation, because if that electrical grid is damaged, it ain't like they're going to just put it back together, folks. That's going to take a long, long time. Not days and months, but years. You won't have to worry about the old age adage of 3 days of darkness. You may be looking at 3 years of darkness. Now, I don't mean in the daytime, because we'll still have the sun lighting everything up. But as far as electricity goes, yeah, we may have some big problems. We may have problems that will arise with no cellular communication, no internet communication. People think that it's, some people think it's a little bit of a game, They don't believe in it. But if you take that same person and you take away the access to electricity, and you take away that cell phone, and you take away that internet access, you'll find that person within a very short amount of time, eyes wide open. Now they become a believer. We are truly now entering some very, very strange and dangerous times. Now, I'm not here to scare you into watching any more videos or live streams that I put out. If you don't believe me, just wait. Because you, no matter where you live on this planet, you are going to go through it. You're going to live it, just like me. And then you'll be a believer. Okay, because you won't be able to access YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. You won't be able to use that fancy cell phone that you have, because you won't be able to call anybody, because there will be no cellular transmission left. And I think the more and more that you folks learn about what's happening, it's time for you to maybe start bringing some people to the plate and say, hey, listen, this is what's happening. This is what I'm learning. And, you may want to start learning some of this too, because you want to protect your family. And if you're on your own, you're like a nomad, well, you're gonna have to learn how to protect yourself, what resources you need to protect yourself based on where you live and what resources you have. No more games, folks. No more games. I know a lot of you have probably watched these videos like this for many years in the past, and nothing happened. Well, we're not in those times anymore. We are actually in the times where it is already happening. It's happening now. Little by little. So, I'm gonna do my damnedest to maybe get on here once a day or maybe every other day, depending on my schedule, and bore you guys to death talking about weather, bringing in the new images that we capture of this stellar core that, we all call Planet X or Nemesis or Nibiru or whatever the hell you want to label it, how it's affecting the sun, and we're going to talk about space weather also and what's happening on the sun. So if you want to learn and you want to keep yourself in the loop, keep your ass in the seat right here at Planet X News. Share the videos, maybe write something about them, share them on social media, maybe share it with a friend. Say, hey man, I think you might find this interesting, or maybe you might find this useful. Check this out. The more folks we bring to the table, the better off we'll be able to transmit information and educate others. Preserve life, man. That's what we have to do. Period. And I greatly appreciate anyone who has made contributions and donations to Dr. Elber's fund. I don't know what more to say other than thank you, because there have been some really, really beautiful people over the course of the last couple of months that have really stepped up and helped in a tremendous way. It's a shame that the medical industry is like it is, that you have to pay cash for a medical procedure that insurance companies won't pay for. I mean, she doesn't have medical insurance to begin with, period. I was discussing this with a few other folks today in a live stream where I was a guest, and they were asking me, well, why do you have to pay cash for that? Well, the insurance companies don't pay for it. It's just like when you want a nose job, you got to pay cash. You want breast implants, you got to pay cash. You want hair transplants, you got to pay cash. You want cheek implants, you got to pay cash. And it's pretty disgusting that something like stem cell therapy and stem cell replacement is it's terrible, because it could be literally saving millions of people's lives. It's just a sick world, man. But the insurance companies don't make money with you living longer. They actually lose money. And maybe that's the reason why. Maybe sometime in the near future, the stem cell replacement will be part of, keeping you alive, and your insurance will pay for it. But unfortunately, at this point in time, it doesn't. It's a shame. But anyways, folks, listen. You guys have a very safe weekend. Keep an eye on your weather. Most definitely. If you're living anywhere in the Northeast, or excuse me, the Northwest or the Southwest or the central part of the U.S., anybody in there leading all the way over to the East Coast, man, just keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. Listen to your local weather as much as possible, and we'll go from there. I appreciate all of you joining me tonight also. And once again, anybody who has made contributions to Dr. Elber's fund, I greatly appreciate it. You people are absolutely fantastic. And hopefully by the time July comes, we'll have enough funding to get this stem cell replacement going. And this is going to be for her nervous system. And that is one of the main problems that's plaguing her right now. And if it's not done, then the situation for her will be very bleak. But I don't want to get into all that. It gets me a little upset. But folks, once again, thank you. Be very careful out there. Keep an eye in the sky. Stay tuned to Planet X. Make sure your notifications are set up. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. And peace out, folks. Take care.